Hi stamping friends, it's Terry Gaines. Thank you for placing a qualifying order using my host code this month. The fun fold this month is a standing panel card. So you are going to receive a packet with all the supplies to make a full-size card and a miniature card that will go on the instruction card you receive. You will also receive a PDF that has all the supplies that were used for both cards, along with the supplies you need to assemble, and a link to this video so you can rewatch it anytime you want to duplicate the card. So the supplies the adhesive you're going to need are some mini dimensionals for the miniature card. I'm using some regular dimensionals, a strong adhesive. I'm going to use tear and tape, and then mini glue dots. You also need a double-sided adhesive, a bone folder, your take your pick tool, and a stamp set for the sentiments you want to use. I'm going to use Sweet Ice Cream stamp set, and then I'm going to use Bermuda Bay for the ink, and that would be a suggested ink color to have for the project. So let's get started. My goal with this video is to give you assembly tips on assembling both the standard card and the mini card, but also give you all the details on how I prep the packet so you have all the instructions you need to duplicate this project. So let's get started. So in the packet you have your instruction card. I'm going to set that aside here, and I'll just set it here. And then we also have all the supplies for the miniature card. They get mixed up in mailing and transport. So this little mint macaron color is for the miniature card, and it will probably be a little bit difficult at first knowing what goes to what, but the butterflies go to that card, the smallest basic white. 3 little strips of designer series paper go to this project. I believe that's all we need for this project, so I'm just going to set that aside. And then we're going to work on the main card first. But as I mentioned, I need to show you how I prepped all of the materials for this card. So per the instructions, we are going to start out with a piece of, or a cardstock for our card base that is cut at 4 1/4 by 11. It is pre-scored for you. And I'm going to bring in the Simply Scoring tool along with a piece of cardstock that is not scored yet, so you can see how I prepped that. You can use your paper trimmer. I like using the Simply Scoring tool for all of my scoring. I find it easier for me to do because I like to visually see the ruler. So along the 11-inch side, the first score line is 5 1/2, which happens to be right in half. Then it's 6 1/8. Then it is 7 5/8. Then it is 8 7/8, and the last one is 10 3/8. That is pre-scored for you using those dimensions. So that's already done in the packet, but that's what you would want to do if you want to recreate the card. So then what we're going to use is a bone folder. We need to use a bone folder, or you don't need to, but it works great, to crease that card in half. Then the next score line is going to be a valley fold. So we want to take that and crease that to be a valley fold. So valley fold goes down. The next 2 are mountain folds. So we're going to fold, mountain fold is going to go like this. This one is also a mountain fold, the next one, so the next 2. And this last one is a valley fold. So we're going to fold that in, and there we go. That's what the scoring part of it is. Then we need a strong adhesive. I mentioned I am going to use the tear and tape. The Stampin' Seal Plus would probably work great too. And what we need to do is put that adhesive, and the beauty of the tear and tape, you can tear it, or you can use your paper trimmer to trim it. So we want that adhesive, and we scored it this way, but we're going to actually rotate it. It's still marked, this is a 6 1/4. So bear with our 6 1/8. So what we want to do is put that adhesive on that first small panel that we scored, or that is scored in your packet. Take the backing off, and this is going to be folded. So this panel just gets strongly adhered right to that card. Per the instructions, the next thing we want to do is decorate these 3 panels here. In your packet, you have some designer series paper. and it is part of the ice cream suite that is in the January through June Stampin' Up! Mini Catalog. And you have the decision whether you want your designer series paper to be placed this way or this way. So let's just talk about how this is going to be decorated, so you make that decision before you stamp this. The designer series paper, as I mentioned, is in the mini catalog, and let me grab that to show you. That is the Ice Cream Corner Designer Series paper. And your piece for this is this panel here, so you could turn it around and use the stripes. These panels are, the dimensions are in the packet. They are 4 inches in height, 1 1/4 for these two, and 1 for this one. So we have those 3 to adhere. But I want to show the embellishments that you have in your packet. So when we attach this, then we're going to embellish the outside of this card. So the embellishments are prepped in the packet for you. You have Bermuda Bay cut with the layering oval die. Now, just to let you know, some of these products are retiring. They will not be in the next annual catalog. So this is a retiring product. I call it one of my pantry items. I use it all the time. And then I have the large stitched oval. So I've already prepped this for you. I ran it through my Stampin' Cut It and Emboss machine, and I am not going to show you how to use that to save some time on this video. So for our embellishments, we're going to go ahead and create this embellishment, assemble it. Then we can decide what side of the paper we want to use, because that's really a personal decision. This piece of basic white is for the inside of the card. Then you have a lot of little pieces. The little butterfly is for the miniature card. The circle cut with the layering circles is for this card. And let me show you how I prepped these pieces. These are ice cream cone pieces that I created or punched using the ice cream builder punch, and I used the designer series paper. So I'm going to give you some tips on how I did this. So the back of this paper has this print that's perfect for the cone. So I cut this in 1.5 inch strips, so I can go in and punch my cone, and I like punching it on a diagonal so you get it crisscrossed. But when you go to turn the next one, you're going to cut that piece up. We don't want to do that, so oops, we want to avoid getting those little in there. So my tip for you is, if you this isn't the example, I'm going to go ahead and punch this one just to show you how I do this to maximize my paper. I punch that one. For the next one, I turn the paper upside down. That way I can get the most cones out of that strip of 1.5 inch paper. So that's my tip for that part. My tip for the ice cream pieces, you're going to have 3. You need to decide how you want to stack them, but I do want to let you know, I happen to grab a packet that all the ice cream cones or scoops have a top to them. Some of yours might only be partial, but that's okay, because you can still utilize that and for the way we're going to use this paper. So the ice cream portion is punched from this paper, or this paper. And how I did that, and I'm going to show you that quickly, is all the papers have these little splatters on, and I went and I cut them into strips. So I cut each of them up and cut the little watermark splatters out here. And then what that allowed me to do is to go in here and punch the ice cream pieces, whether I wanted full ones or partial ones. And these little strips on the side, I would not, I would keep these. I'm going to grab this one as an example, because you can place that strip in here, and that can be a bottom ice cream cone. So you can stack these. And I'm talking fast because I want to make this video as short as possible so you can assemble your project. But these are all the ice cream scoops that I got out of that one sheet of designer series paper. all these can be used to make those stacks of ice cream. So in your packet, you may have a partial one that's going to have to be used for the first or second level, but you will have one that's got Bermuda Bay on it for your very top one. I made sure all the packets. So in this packet, these are the options. So I'm going to stack my ice cream like that. You also have two little paper glimmer hearts. I want to show you how I prep that too. And so what I did for that is I used the Stampin' Up glimmer paper, and I thought I had a full sheet here. I don't actually have the full sheet right here at the table, but the glimmer paper comes 12 by 12. And what I did was I cut my paper into strips, 1/2-inch strips. And then what I could do is take the Dog Builder Punch, also a retiring soon product, place this in the punch and punch out whatever color little hearts I want. So that's how I prep this piece here. So I hope that helps clarify how I prep the packet. So let's assemble our embellishment. So we're going to put some adhesive on the ice cream cone. And then you have to decide how you want to stack yours. I'm going to stack these like that. So I'm going to stack the bottom one. And as I mentioned, you could have a partial one. And I'm going to grab this partial one that I just showed you how I punched the paper. And then I'm going to put that partial one down. Then I'm going to take the next cone and stack that one. And it's not a cone, it's an ice cream scoop. My videos are unedited. I most likely have lots of other bloopers, misspoken words. So I want to stack that like so. And then I am going to take the green of the two. You should have a Bermuda Bay color and the green one. I'm going to take the green one. I attach these with mini glue dots. And you can take your pick tool to help you get that. And you decide where you want that little heart to be attached. So that's our embellishment. So back to the card, this is going to be on this side of the paper. Do you want the ice cream or the popsicles to show, or do you want the striped paper to show? So you need to make that decision. And I'm going to go ahead and put the striped side showing on this one. So what you want to do is adhere your designer series paper to these panels, the two wider strips, which are 1 1/4. Oops, oh, that didn't work out very well. I didn't get it down before I started to burnish it. So I'm going to place that one down. The two outside strips are 1 1/4. This inside strip is 1 inch wide. They all are 4 inches in height. So I'm going to attach this one. And there's no guarantee your stripes are going to match going across. So just to let you know, I lucked out with this packet. They match up, but just so you know, when I cut these, there's no order. Your stripes might not match up as well as that does. This doesn't happen very often. So we are back to our instructions. We have cut the papers and we have those assembled. Then the next thing it says is we're going to attach this embellishment, whatever your embellishment is, in this case we have the ice cream cone, to this center panel only. We don't want it attached to these, and the best way to do that is turn your embellishment over and you just grab, in this case it's a taller embellishment. I would grab 3 dimensionals at least, or two minimum, and then right down the center. And we'll take the backing off, and I don't think I got the backing off. There we go. Yep, I got it off that one. And then what we're going to do is center it, and with the dimensionals just on the center, that's going to allow us just to attach that to this piece. Then we need a stopper. The stopper for this one is this circle, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment on that. I'm going to use Bermuda Bay. You can stamp whatever sentiment you would like. I'm going to use the stamp that's in the stamp set. It says, "You melt my heart." I'm going to stamp this. I'm actually going to bring in my paper piercer or paper piercing mat and stamp that. and I'm using Bermuda Bay ink. And I'm going to take this Bermuda Bay little heart, use my mini glue dots and my take your pick tool, and I'm going to put that little heart right underneath. Now this is our stopper. So you need a stopper for this card, and we want to put dimensionals on the back of this. If your stopper was smaller in size, maybe you only have need one dimensional. With the size of this, I'm going to actually put two, and I'm putting them right in the center. And then I'm going to take the backing off, and oops, the little stopper goes right here. So I'm going to center it in this direction and put it fairly close to the edge of the card. And there. And so when you open the card, this panel goes underneath. That's how it stands, but it's not quite finished yet because we have another piece to stamp in here. I'm going to show you a tip I have for this Photopolymer Happy Birthday stamp. So in the stamp set, we have a happy birthday. That's one stamp that goes this direction. But if you wanted to stamp that happy birthday on something that is not as long as the stamp, what I like to do is just cut my stamp. So I've cut the happy birthday off I cut the happy and the birthday apart, and it's like a puzzle. It will always go back to its original. I can have it like that. But by doing this, now I can take my happy birthday and it will fit for a card that's not as wide as the original stamp. So it's something you can do with your stamps, and it works out great because you can put it back to its original shape. So the piece here is cut 2.5 by 3 1/4, and that's going to be placed right here. So that's your inside sentiment. And unfortunately with the video like this, it's hard to, if it was standing on a table, it would look like that. So this is a great card that you can utilize for, this could be a baby picture with the baby's name, and then it could be a birth announcement inside. It can be graduation cards, Christmas cards. You can really dress it up how you would like. I want to show you how this card would look with the paper flipped the other way, and then I put the heart a little bit different. And then I'm going to show you a few additional samples using different product after we assemble this card. So let's talk about this card. This little card is going to be our instruction card. I'm a visual person. I like to have a visual sample. So when we assemble this, we will have a little visual that we can always look at to see what this card would look like. So these are already scored for you. So we need to take our bone folder. Once we fold, it's folded in half. We need a valley fold, a mountain fold, a mountain fold, and another valley fold. Then we need our strong adhesive to adhere this little panel to the card base. And the tear and tape, you can just tear it. I'm going to take the take your pick tool. Apply pressure, and friction helps get the backing off your tear and tape. We'll get the backing off, make sure that adhesive's all in there. So this is going to be like this. The paper I'm using for this card is from the Fine Art Floral Designer Series paper, and it's the back side of this piece. So I'm going to use the back side like this, but you can always use the other side. So I'm going to put the adhesive on here, and again the adhesive is cut for the center 3 panels, and I'm going to put each of these down with a double stick adhesive. And the rest of this packet is prepped with a new die set that is option to get earlier than the annual catalog comes out. It's the Brilliant Butterfly Wings, and I use the dies. You have either this butterfly or this butterfly cut in gold, and then the wings, The solid is cut in a cardstock vellum, and then you have a small butterfly that is one of the dies here. I cut it out with the gold foil, then I ran it through my cut in an emboss machine using this is called the Painted Texture 3D folder. A tip with the dies, as I mentioned, you have one of these two dies. So when you have a detailed die like this, sometimes makes more than one run through your die cutting machine. And when I cut things out, I always turn it over. If I don't see all those gray lines, that means it's not cut through all the way. So then I sometimes just turn the die upside down on my die cutting and then cut it through. So when I see all the gray lines like that, I know it cuts everything. Our detailed dies might take a little bit more running through, but the beauty of it is you're going to get some beautiful items that are really hard to cut by themselves. So as I mentioned, we needed mini dimensionals for this one. And so we've got the panel here. We have for embellishments, we're going to put these two butterflies together. I am going to use mini glue dots to do that. So we're gonna put the mini glue dots on here. I believe in putting at least 2 mini glue dots on something so they are stable and it doesn't, one adhesive dot is going to allow it to swivel. 2 will keep it stable, but you need to make sure you turn it over and all the adhesive is brought to the back of the butterfly so it's not exposed. If you have exposed adhesive and place your card in an envelope, it most likely is going to be stuck in the inside of that envelope. So I attach the 2 butterflies with mini glue dots. I'm going to turn this over and attach this with the mini dimensionals. And let me grab, I don't even think I have a paper snips on the supply list. I'm going to take a little paper snips and cut the edge in a smaller strip so I can have stability so it doesn't rotate. 1 dimensional is going to mean it might rotate. So I'm going to put a little bit more adhesive on here. We're going to put the butterfly like that. The stopper this can be with a regular dimensional or a small dimensional. And I'm going to take a regular because it is only going to have 1 dimensional, and I just talked about the stability of things rotating. With the larger dimensional, it's got more surface there. This is the stopper. So I'm going to put the stopper right here, and then this is what you're going to stamp. I stamped my other little sample with "Framed for You," thinking of you, and that's going to be the stopper for our little visual. Then this gets adhered to that, just like I have here. This is a finished card. So you always have this little visual to go back to. So I hope you enjoyed this month's Fun Fold card. As I mentioned, I wanted to show you a couple other cards that I made using this Fun Fold. This is with the same product, but I used the cinnamon cider color. Cinnamon cider is a color that's in almost every piece of the designer series paper, so it's going to coordinate with all of it, and I used the same stamp. So that was a previous one I did earlier, and this is using a paper pumpkin refill kit, and this is using one of the embellishments, so this could be used, and this is part of the kit, so I just used that. That worked out perfect. And then this was the first card I made using the technique, using some retired product. Maybe some of you still have this beautiful designer series paper, sold a while ago, but that was the first one I made. So this is a fun fold that's always fun to make using your product at home or some of our new product. I hope you enjoyed this fun fold. Again, thank you so much for placing an order with me using my April host code. Thanks, stay safe and stay healthy.